right, so here we are. Welcome everyone to the stream today. We're going to be continuing on with the stuff we were doing last week, which was the lunar phases. So actually, I don't have yet. I should bring that up. Right now I'm like, where did I keep that? Because I've got it somewhere. The map of the lunar phases that I was working on. So that's probably, I'm gonna try to find it in my finder here. It should show up for me to access. Well, I'll find it eventually. Maybe I could look it up too. But anyway, we've got all our assets here, and what we're gonna do is look at actually going through and animating these different lunar phases, right? So let's go ahead and start doing that. First, we're gonna look at phases. We're gonna look at what we've got so far, for one thing, and then we're going to actually go through and animate this stuff. And we're going to use masking for this, just because of the way we have it set up. And here's the image I need right here. Let's open this in a new tab. Yeah. So this is what I'm going off of. This is from timeanddate.com. And we've got our different phases of the moon. We've got the lunar cycle here. So last time what I did is I went through and we created all of this. So we've got a background, which is in the BG layer. And the background has the star field and the empty void of the heavens. We've got two mass objects. We've got the unlit part of the moon. And then we have the lit part of the moon. And both of these have masks. The lit part only has a mask just to hide all of these little, weird protrusions from the lunar surface. We also have these different phase markers. So here's the full moon. We go over here, we got Waxing Gibbous. I always used to call it Gibbous, but I guess it's actually Gibbous. I don't know. First quarter, third quarter, Waning Crescent, and so forth. So what we're going to do is animate between all these different states of the moon. That is what we're doing today. So some of these should be pretty easy to do. If we look here, definitely we've got some, fairly simple ways to construct our different masks. The tricky bit is going to be actually tweening between all these different states in the mask. So I'm trying to keep up with everybody who's on the live stream here. So if you want to say hi or make a statement, go ahead and just pop it in the chat there. I try to keep tabs on the chat as I'm going through and doing the work. Also, I should mention, we do have new assets. So I created some brand new assets to use on the stream here. You can see them in effect right now. I've got the new assets in OBS here, but I've also got the ability, this little space kind of up in the corner, the upper right hand corner, you can see my, it's stuff I want to highlight. So if it's like speaking engagements coming up, a new lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning course, or new music release, or whatever it might be, I'll highlight it up there. In this case, I put my book up there, Mastering Adobe Animate 2021, which has now 5 reviews on Amazon, and they're all 5 stars, which is super great. Tonight I'm doing an Animate workshop for AIGA Connecticut branch. So that'll be fun. And right now, we're gonna get into some animation. So this is Adobe Animate. If you haven't looked at Animate, give it a look, because I think it's a pretty cool piece of software. All right. I'm also going to be trying to have some audio playing in the background for, for my streams. I think it makes it a little nicer. The problem with playing audio, of course, is that you get flagged by YouTube. I post these up after the fact on YouTube, as well as having the replays in Behance. And whenever I play audio in the background, I always get flagged for copyright infringement, even though I own the copyright for this audio. This is actually from a release from the year 2000. I can't believe it's 21 years old, but this is a release called August. Right on. So what we're going to do, now we've got our unlit portion of the moon, and we're going to use the mask upon that unlit portion of the moon to actually perform our animation. So I'm going to temporarily unhide both of those so that we can see the mask in effect. So this mask here is obviously the new moon, right? The new moon, if we look at the chart, the new moon is completely dim. So it is not shining whatsoever. So we gotta find where our new moon is, right? So last time we put in all these different keyframes, and look at that, there's the new moon right there. So for the new moon, let's go ahead and add a keyframe right here. So this is the mask shape that's visible inside the mask unlit layer. Add that keyframe right there. That's going to be our new moon. So let's work from that new moon. The next thing is the waning crescent. Waning crescent looks like this. So all we really need to do for that, boop, 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 boop. Maybe that. That looks really cool. So that's really close to what we have in our little visual here. There's our waning crescent. So, of course, I just totally screwed that up because I didn't put a keyframe in first. Whenever you're going to do something like that, put in a keyframe first and then do it. Or you can turn on this new feature called Auto Keyframe inside of Animate. When Auto Keyframe is on, you'll get a little A right there, and you can see Auto Insert Keyframe. And then if you make any changes on a different frame, it'll automatically create a keyframe for you. Very similar to After Effects. Waning Crescent. Third quarter. So now I'm not sure if I should. I don't know. Let's just put the keyframe in manually. The nice thing about the auto keyframing feature is you got a choice. You can do either or. Now third quarter looks like this. We've got that side of the moon lit, and the other side unlit. So for that, I'm gonna choose my just my regular selection tool, I guess. And this is a shape that the mask consists of, right? So in order to make that lit, I need to bisect the moon and hit delete. That deletes that selection portion. And if we look, pretty cool. But Third quarter. Yeah, no, it's third quarter, according to the... I'm looking at quarter and I see half. That's the problem. All right, let's move on. And of course, none of this is animated yet, right? So it's, I mean, it's frame by frame animation. So it goes like from one to another. But, you know, it's not quite animated. And actually, I mean, here, let's look at this some more. So if we look at the Waning Crescent here, zoom into that Waning Crescent, we can see that it's always sort of in the middle. So I'm gonna actually need to maybe enlarge this mask a bit. Choose the mask. And this might be a good time to insert some guides. So we're gonna turn on our rulers so that we can pull out guides. I'm gonna put a guide at the 300 pixel mark right there. And that is going to be our guide for this entire thing. Do not neglect guides. All right, so for here, we're gonna use our free transform tool. Let's go down to 60% maybe. And we're just going to sort of enlarge it up to that point right there. There we go. Third quarter. Next is Waning Gibbous, or Gibbous. Very weird. So there it is, Waning Gibbous. And this will actually be pretty easy to do because we just need to insert a keyframe here. And then using the selection tool, and this is a cool trick you can do inside of Animate. In Animate, it's super easy to do things like morphing shapes with the selection tool if you know how to do it. Hello, Reverb Mike. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you here again. So I need to lock my guides or I won't be able to do certain things here. So view guides, lock guides. That way I can actually modify the shape and the guide won't be in the way. So as you can see here, the guide and the shape are actually both at the same spot. Now for Waning Gibbous, or Gibbous, gosh, if any of you who are watching this right now are a lunar scientist, please correct me with my pronunciation. We're gonna just squish this over until it sort of matches what we have in our item here. Now, we can use the subselection tool to tweak this, of course. Not like that. That's terrible. There we go. So I'm just trying to get this, and it doesn't help that I have this sort of green on green thing going on here. There are ways to change that in Animate, but we're gonna just sort of, oops. We're gonna sort of try and figure it out on our own. Actually, I'm making a mess here. Let's go back. All right. Direct selection tool, go away. Our sub-selection tool. That's close enough for now without doing anything crazy. There's our Waning Gibbous or Gibbous. And whoa, we're at the end. Uh-oh. Okay, no, that's cool. Because then we can start over. So full moon, we're not going to have any mask whatsoever because we just want it to shine through. So before we do the full moon, we actually have to do the next one. Just insert a keyframe right there at the waxing gibbous phase. Boop. And let's refer to our item here. So waxing gibbous is like a big fat moon. Half. So what we're gonna do is, I guess, remove this part of the moon. And then use the selection tool once again. Now this only works when you have everything deselected. So you don't have anything selected on the stage. And then if you hover over, you get this cool little arc next to your cursor. And that indicates you can push and pull. So boop, 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 boop. Pretty cool. Let's push and pull until it looks sort of like our waxing gibbous. Right there. And of course we can do a visual test. Now, there's waxing gibbous down below. And there's our version. Obviously there's some stuff that needs to happen here in order to get it just right. So you could always continue to use the direct, or calling it the direct selection tool, the sub-selection tool here. Sub-selection tool. Oh, see, part of the problem is we don't actually have a additional item right here, but we can always add an anchor point. There we go. And then use this tool. To move things out a little bit more. And it's not perfect right now, but it's better than it was, right? Gosh. Part of me is like, why'd you change it? Why not make it a little bit different? And part of this too that's very difficult is that I can't really tell. It's hard to tell. Let's turn my... I don't know if I want to turn snapping off. My preferences. Yeah, there's not really a setting to change the color of my handles here. We can, of course, change the color of this. Now, I turned this green color. I almost always use this green color for different things. But, you know, we don't necessarily have to use it, right? Let's make it yellow instead. And then if we use the sub-selection tool, now we can really see what's going on. And I can tweak these a little nicer, right? There we go. That looks a lot better. Let's do the same thing back over here to this fellow. Yes. So I'm once again going to change this to a different color. And sub-selection tool. Oh, before I do that, I need to insert the darn thing. So let's add an anchor point. In the middle right here. And then I can use my sub-selection tool. And I'm holding down the Alt or Option key to do this. To just give it a little bit more of a roundness here. And using each of them independently. Not exactly. Hold them a little too far. There we go. That looks really good. Really good or not so really good, right? Tweak these a little more too. So the idea is to get, you want to get like this nice round curve to it. That's pretty good. that's going to be pretty close to what we're looking for. And look right there. So if you look in the timeline, what I did is I was messing with this with auto insert keyframe on. I goofed it up. Say auto insert a keyframe, and I didn't want it to do that. Let's go ahead and clear that keyframe. And I copied the contents. So if I remove the contents from this keyframe, I can then go ahead and paste in place on that keyframe, and everything is going to be better. Cool. All right, back to the beginning, to our full moon. I can now, full moon's the easiest one, because all I have to do is delete it. Boom, gone. So it doesn't exist anymore. Wait, that's the opposite of what I needed to do. I need to retain it, not delete it. There we go, full moon. Hold on. Oh, of course. So, so what we have going on here is we've got our hole. So this is unlit. This is showing anything that's unlit. So what I need to actually do is probably just move this or make it like super, super tiny. So if I move it, let's see what happens there. That's probably good enough. Move it off stage. Full moon, Waning Gibbous, which there are some additional things I might want to do here too. Oh, hello, Carolyn. Yeah, Reverb Mike, I do need a horizontal guide too to place those middle ones. Yep, the midpoints. That would have been smart, but you know. So can you knock out shapes like you can in Illustrator? Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, Animate has its own way of doing stuff like this. So, like, if I were to, that's not a bad idea actually at all. So if I were to go in here and take this shape, for instance. Now this shape is completely different, right? So if I pop that in there, and I'm going to have to enlarge it once again to make it large enough. Right? And that's really close. Let's just nudge it over a little bit. So now if I deselect, right, what's going to happen is it's going to eat the underlying shape. And then if I click it and delete it, then it's perfect. So actually that's a really good suggestion, Carolyn. And then we don't have to mess with, you know, all these little subpoints and everything, which I don't mind messing with that stuff, but yeah, if we can get it perfect straight off the bat, then like, why not, right? So there's two different ways of doing it. You could do it with the subpoints, or you could just eat into it with another shape. So let's check out our first quarter here. This will be an easy one because first quarter, if you look down below, this side is lit. This side is unlit in the first quarter. So let's go ahead and pop in a new keyframe right there. And what we're gonna do is just copy this shape from before. That'll be the easiest way to do it. Grab my selection tool, Command or Control C to copy, and revisit this keyframe. Now I copied the keyframe from here, the Waning Gibbous, into the first quarter. I can delete that, and once again I can right click and choose paste in place. And well, paste in place, that didn't really work, but I can tweak it so it does, right? I've got my alignment panel here. Let's align that to the very center, and then just shift it up with my arrow keys until it's in the correct position. And I probably should have taken this from the new moon. That would have made it a little bit easier, but it's fine. If I want to be super specific about it, I can always zoom in, like, I don't know, 800%, let's say. And then look up top here I'm scrolling way too much. I keep scrolling past it because I'm so zoomed in. Maybe 800 is a little too much. But yeah, you can see here, and I don't know how well this comes across on the stream, but there is a little bit of gray. I can just nudge that up with my keyboard. Fit in window again, and there we go. So my mask on this point here, it's going to make anything underneath it dark. So if we look at first quarter, what I want to be dark is the left. So what I'm going to do is use my selection tool and select everything up to that guide right there. Hit delete. And there we go. There's our first quarter looking pretty good. Those are the easy ones, right? First quarter, third quarter, because it's just like half a thing, right? We're almost done. We have one more to go, which is the waxing crescent. So for waxing crescent, all right, waxing crescent, let's insert a keyframe. That, and unlock the layers once again. So what we need to do is have waxing crescent, the right side lit as a crescent. So let's do something a little different again. I'm gonna actually hold down my Option or Alt key and just drag that out to copy it. Use the free transform tool to invert it. Wait, no. Waxing crescent. Oh, you know what? I can't do this. Never mind. That's not gonna work for this one. What I'm gonna do is do the same sort of thing where we pull this guy out here. So where should I do that? Let's delete it. I've got the keyframe there. Let's go back to the new moon. And we'll just shift him over. Full moon, new moon. Let's grab that circle. Go to my waxing crescent keyframe, paste in place. And we just need to shift him over a little bit. Boop, 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 boop. And make him a little bit bigger, so free transform tool. And I've got things snapping right now, so it's, you know, you might want to turn that off depending upon what you're doing. We're looking at this point here where the intersection between the actual moon and the rest of everything is here. Waxing crescent. So here's waxing crescent right here. You get this crescent lit right before the new moon. And there we go. That's pretty good. So let's turn off our guides now. I don't want to see them anymore. I don't want to see the rulers anymore either. And if I go back to the beginning and hit play, full moon, waxing gibbous, first quarter, waxing crescent, new moon, waning crescent, third quarter, and waning gibbous. Now, this one, I'm not thrilled with this one, right? I don't know. It looks a little weird. Yes, the one I did by hand. Let's actually get rid of it. And we're going to copy and invert from that nicer one that I did, which is, I believe, right here. So select it, copy. Go back in here. Select that keyframe. Let's paste in place. Why not? Use the free transform tool to invert. And then we'll just use our arrow keys to shift it over. Wow, it just got dark out. Really dark. There seem to be a lot of people on the stream today. So, hey, everyone. Let me know how you're all doing. You know, we don't have to stick to chit-chat about the lunar phases or animates or anything like that. About 32 minutes into the stream now. My tea is cold. But I tolerate iced tea. It's never been anything that I've like I would not prepare it myself to be cold or iced. Let's go 600 because 800 was so much that last time. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yep, I had it perfect. Nice. All right. Waning Gibbous. Ooh, that's not perfect. Look at that. That's awful. Let's try that again. Boop. Much better. Just one pixel makes a huge difference. Right. So now that we've got all of our phases in place, there they are. Let's go ahead and actually animate between them. Now, if I go ahead and hit the test movie button here, it does it on my other screen, of course, but here we go. We've got all our different phases, and right now it's basically a frame-by-frame animation, right? So it's okay, but it could be better because we could animate it with tweens. So let's go ahead and get into our tweens here. And one of the cool things, of course, about using masks is that you can animate using masks. You can animate the masks. So we've all been dealing with masks for a while now. It's nice to be able to do something useful with them, right? So let's go ahead. I've selected all these different layers between all these different keyframes that we just created. And up here is our tweens. We can create a classic tween, but in order to do that, we would need to have a symbol instance because a classic tween can only be created and applied to a symbol instance. We're using shapes, and we actually want to use a shape tween here because we are changing the shape of this thing as it moves from here to there. So we're going to create shape tween, and it's probably not going to be perfect straight up, but let's have a look. So now we've got shape tween across this entire span, right? Let's hit play and see how it looks. See, it's weird. Oh, some of that's pretty good though. Hey. Yep, that's weird again too. So we can fix these things, no problem. What we're going to use to fix them. Oh, and this one right here, we actually do need. Actually, that doesn't. So do we want this to repeat? Yeah, sure. So what I'm going to do right here. Let's just shift that over to the side. Yeah. Not that cool, right? What I'm going to do instead of having this, let's zoom in a bit. So here's the part where it's like, okay, we've got some stuff working, we've got some stuff broken, right? So how would you add this into your web page in Dreamweaver? There's a couple of ways. One way you could always do a file, export, and you could choose export animated GIF, right? And oh my gosh, one of the best things that the Adobe Animate team has done recently, and this was in their last update. There was actually an update last night. You may not have caught it quite yet, but the update before last night's update, so it's like 21.0.3. Now this is going to take a while to process because I've got a bunch of frames on here. You'd probably want to take the frame rate down quite a bit if you're doing an animated GIF. But one of the cool things here is that you can actually resize this window now. So before you weren't able to resize this. So people on smaller screens, or in my case, I was always, you know, recording different workflows where you would have to use this particular, you know, export image, and it would never fit on the screen. There'd always be stuff cut off just because of restrictions that the publisher wanted, you know. But now you don't have that. You don't have to deal with that anymore. It's wonderful. All right, what I'm going to do is actually grab this fellow here. Copy. And again, delete. Let's paste in place. And what I'm going to do is kind of go over a little bit like this. And this might be enough just to kind of like set it off like that. Let's sort of see. Yeah. You know, it's not perfect. Again, we got some weird stuff going on here and there. But this is all stuff that we can deal with. One way to do that is to actually just enlarge this a little bit. So since we only have the, that's not good. Let's take it out this way a little bit too. So since we only have the masked content here, the only thing that's nested underneath mask unlit is just unlit. So the mask is only going to affect unlit. Let's see here. That's much better. That's really good. There it goes. Oh, it's good. But it's going to screw up right here. There we go. Yeah, that's not good. And the reason it screws up right there, of course, is if you remember, we inverted that crescent right there, right? So what we need to do is kind of guide this fellow a little bit more. So let's see. And we also need to replicate what we have on our first frame on this last frame. So let's go ahead and insert a blank keyframe right here. Then we'll go back to the first frame, copy that. Paste in place. And it's going to get weird, right? Because it's over there. So let's go ahead and use our free transform tool. And just set that off to the side. It's still being weird, isn't it? But that's okay, because we can do the same sort of thing right here, where we just flip it. Boop. And make it a little bigger from this side here. And then just tweak it inside a little bit. Now it goes like, whoosh, whoosh. That's exactly what we want. And again, it's really, really important when you're animating to make sound effects with your mouth as you do it. That's like super, super important. It doesn't work if you don't do that right. All right, what's going on here? That looked a little weird. Did I screw something up? Let's see. No, I didn't. There, it's still kind of goofy though. So, let's see. So it gets to there. So one trick we could do, we could always make a new keyframe right here. And the problem, of course, is that we're inverted. It's still all goofy. All right, let's undo that. Oftentimes it takes a few tries at different mechanisms to see exactly what the solution is for this stuff, right? So you can see it's confused. So one thing we could always do is provide some shape hints to this. So let's choose, I think it's modify timeline, no, modify shape, add shape hint. There we go, we got a shape hint. Let's pop him right up there. Let's add another one for the bottom. Modify shape, add shape hint. All right, this is going to help us guide everything. Now, this could screw things up. Hopefully not, but Shape hints, they work sometimes, and then other times they're just sort of like, why'd I even bother? You know? Like here, look at that. It's like, what? Why? So we get A. Oh, they're not connected yet for some reason. Probably because it wants me to do all of them, right? All right, where'd my shape? There they are. Okay. Shape hints come back. A and B. All right, what we're going to do is turn off snapping to my grid, because I think that is goofing things up. Edit snapping. I want to no longer snap to grid. Snap to objects is good. Let's do that. And let's see. Yeah, we got them right there too. All right. So what I'm going to do is just shift these guys over here. And just try to let them snap to those different spots. And these work on keyframes. Why are they not there anymore? So this is one of the problems is, these shape hints aren't going to work. They're just not going to work, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and remove them. Oops. No. Modify shape. Remove all hints. All right. We will find a different way to do this. And I did this to myself. I don't know what that noise was. Modify shape. Remove all hints. Adobe, why do I still have shape hints? I said get rid of them. All right. So here everything goes pretty well. There we go. Remove those hints. They're removed there too. All right, cool. So let's see. Let's refresh our memories here. Not my memory anyway. All right, so it goes weird, right? Right there. So we should find a different way to do this. I don't know why it does that. It's so strange. Let's see if actually rotating it is going to do it for us. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, it's not doing anything. It's still just sort of like, yeah, whatever, Joseph. I don't know what you want from me. One thing we could definitely do is let's just kind of grab this guy. Paste in place. I don't know why it is deciding to be like this. It's annoying. All right, I am really losing track of where I am now because of this thing. Let's see. Here we go. And that's working out well. It's not until right there. It just goes completely bonkers on us. Man. I'm kind of thinking. So let's see. It goes here. But then here, it just doesn't. Let's just remove it. You know, what I really should have done if I was smart about this is just done it like piece by piece, time at a time. All right. So here's this. You know what might work better? If I go into my subselection tool, let's just kill these guys right here. Then they're at least the same points. There we go. Look at that. That's much smoother. And then we'll be able to modify those points. So I think my main problem with all of this has been simply because I kind of did all this out of order, which order does make a big difference inside of Animate. You have to keep things in order, or certain processes will get strange. Third quarter. So this is going to be, let's see here. Hold down my Option key so I can tweak these handles like this. Make it pretty close to a third quarter. All right. Pretty cool. That works. Then right here, this is Waning Crescent. So I do need to add in a bit of fudginess here, but that's easy enough with my selection tool. Let's make this a bit bigger too. I can tell it's trying to get a little strange on me. This part just goes wild. So let's grab this, copy. And we've got our Waning Gibbous here, which just gets all crazy. Paste in place. Why? Look at that. It's like, what are you doing, Animate? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Yeah, it just goes wild right there. Let's instead of, so sometimes when you use the selection tool, what it does, if you use the selection tool to nudge, what it'll do is it'll actually add additional points to your stuff here. So what we're going to do instead of using that, it's just goofy. Look at that. That's so disappointing. And I copied it from here, so it makes no sense for it to behave in that way. Buddy. Paste in place. I mean, we could always try some other things, like we've got here, you know, distributive blend. We could try angular blend and see if that works a little better. Nope. I don't know. This is something, you know, people have been asking the Animate team to revise some of these things for years. It's just too bad that things are just sort of like this right now. I'm going to do the best I can to get this in a certain position. So weird. It's just this segment right here just goes absolutely wild. I could always try adding hints again. Oh, look at this. What was that? Let's add a shape hint. I'm probably going to regret adding shape hints to this thing, but there we go. There's a shape hint. Let's stick this guy up here. So also the shape hints are not turning colors like they should. There we go. There we go. So you can see how the shape hint is pinned that right there. So let's try it again. And it turns color when it's actually properly aligned from keyframe to keyframe. Let's add shape hint B. It's just tricky stuff, you know? All right, so you can see these are both green, and these are both yellow. So fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. It worked. It's a miracle. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's play this back like it is. Got a full moon, waxing gibbous, first quarter, waxing crescent, and new moon, and waning crescent, third quarter, waning gibbous. Now that last bit was a little weird. But gosh, do I want to tempt fate even more? Or do I just want to say, you're a cool guy? I think we're going to say you're a cool guy. All right, so back to the question about Dreamweaver or anything else really. I mean, there are a number of different ways you could export or output or publish this, right? So I'm doing this as an ActionScript 3.0 document, which simply means it's just like the native format inside of Animate. If I publish this right now, there's a bunch of different publish settings I could do, but they don't matter that much. What I'm going to do instead is we can look at a couple other workflows. So you could do, as we saw before, a file export. And you can export an animated GIF file out of this, right? But you could also export a video. So if we choose export video / media, we get this. It's a deep link into Adobe Media Encoder. So it actually pulls out the different formats and presets from Adobe Media Encoder in order to create this file. And you can change the height and the width and so forth to do this. And that'll create, you know, whatever you want. It'll create an MP4 file for you. It'll create, you know, anything you want, any type of file that you might desire for your particular project. You could also convert this into a different document type. So if you wanted to choose file, convert to, you can see I've got a bunch of different things here. I can convert it to HTML5 canvas. It'll run a canvas element in HTML5. That's probably the most useful here, but you don't really need it to be that because we don't really have any interactivity whatsoever. Another option is kind of new. It's the quick share and publish option up here. So if we click this, we can do a social share, or we can do a publish. And publish, you can set to go straight to video, straight to animated GIF. I'm going to choose social share. Let's go ahead and choose Twitter. And I'm already logged into Twitter through Animate. So if you weren't signed into Twitter, you would get a prompt here to do so. What I'm going to do is go through and let's see. Copy and paste this. So I'm going to do this. Share from Animating Phase of the Moon Part 2. Live stream on Behance. And then it automatically inserts Made with Animate and Adobe Animate down there. Let's put those down there. So maybe I'll call it a direct share. Direct share from Animating Phases of the Moon Part 2. Live stream has an M in it and a share. So what's going to happen here is it's going to publish this out. You can see it's generating a video inside of Adobe Media Encoder. And let me check the time here because I've got a jet pretty soon. So it's a good thing we're at the end here. Oh, look, we're verifying Adobe Media Encoder. Thanks, big sir. Sure, go for it, Adobe Media Encoder. So I actually need to go. So I need to stop the stream. So anybody who's here still live, thank you very much for watching. This quick share will appear on my Twitter soon. Oh, somebody asked a question. Try to get that. Noob to animate, why not put the moon mask on the whole sequence? You can only see what's inside the mask, right? Yeah. So, I mean, there's not really the concept of a sequence inside of Animate. It's just sort of like you've got your timeline. You can't like embed. Well, you could actually. Yeah, I mean, we could nest this into a movie clip symbol and do it that way, or a graphic symbol or something like that, and then put the mask over that. So yeah, there are a bunch of different ways you could do it, you know, but it's a little different from like, you know, After Effects where you can have like nested compositions, or Premiere where you can have nested sequences. Inside of Animate, you have symbols, so you can have nested symbols. But oh, look at that. Shared successfully. View in browser. Right there. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll call it quits. So if we look down, there we go. There is my little doodad published directly from Adobe Animate to Twitter. So pretty cool. All right. Well, again, thanks everyone. I'll be back here next Wednesday at 11. And I hope everyone has a good week. Bye all.